start off right away with the FanDuel Week 1 pricing for NFL. First of all, I will say there are a lot of high-powered offenses that are not on this slate. The Chiefs, Texans, Cowboys, Rams, Steelers, Giants are all not on this slate. So I think it's kind of a diminished main slate right off the bat. But what was the first thing that stood out to you when you looked at these prices? I imagine it's going to be the first thing that stood out to me as well.
Yeah, I mean, we have some clear-cut RB1s price, just egregiously on FanDuel. So Miles Sanders is 6,800 and Kenyon Drake is 6,600. That is the 13th and 14th highest price running backs on FanDuel, respectively. And, you have guys like Josh Jacobs who are priced above them, like $1,200 more dollars. Even like, Eckler, Nick Chubb, even Mark Ingram and Todd Gurley are priced above Miles Sanders and Kenyon Drake on FanDuel. So I think the pricing on those two guys just stood out to me immediately when looking at each position.
It's not correlated to ADP, clearly.
Yeah,
because
no.
Mark Ingram, Chris Carson, Leonard Fournette, like, they should not be going ahead or priced ahead of Miles Sanders or Kenyon Drake, two players who are pretty much consensus. If they're not a first round pick, they're going right at that 2-3 turn in drafts. So I guess I don't know why they would place them that low on the list for FanDuel pricing. I know that it's not a full point PPR like DraftKings, it's half point PPR. So maybe they're looking at them and putting them, lower than guys like Chris Carson and Josh Jacobs, who I just don't get it, frankly. It seems like terrible pricing, and I feel like they're going to just carry massive ownership because they're so underpriced.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be the highest owned running backs, obviously, besides, Christian McCaffrey on the FanDuel slate specifically. And then some other guys that I think, have really good prices on them. Odell Beckham is only 6,900, which is really cheap for him going up against the Ravens. I mean, tough matchup, but 6,900 for him is, really low. And then Calvin Ridley, 6,600, and then even like guys like Terry McLaurin, Stephon Diggs, DJ Chark, who are all in the mid 6,000s on FanDuel. It's just a loaded mid range at wide receiver on FanDuel. So those prices also stick out to me as well.
Yeah, that was the same thing I had written down. From 6,900 to 6,500, you've got Odell, Lockett, Adam Thielen, Devontae Parker, Calvin Ridley, Steph Diggs, DJ Chark, and Terry McLaurin. Like, I don't really see any reason to pay outside of that tier of wide receivers and pricing because there's just so much upside there. And unless you're just paying up to be different, maybe you want to pay up for like Devontae Adams or Thomas or something, then I could see it. But I mean, there's just so much value. It's absolutely loaded in that mid-range of wide receivers.
Yeah, you could easily, pick your 3 wide receivers from, the 4 guys that you listed. Like, I would pick McLaurin, DJ Chark, and Calvin Ridley. They're all, in the mid 6,000, 65 and 6,600. For each 3 of them, and that would, fulfill your 3 wide receiver spots on FanDuel, and that's probably like 30 plus targets total between each guys. 2 number 1 options in Chark and McLaurin, and then Calvin Ridley's obviously in a great passing offense, so you could just live in the mid-range on FanDuel and have elite, production from those guys. So I think that's what sticks out immediately when going through these prices. Other than that, I'm not seeing, too much. I mean, there's some mispriced guys, like for example, Hayden Hurst is too cheap, but obviously they're not going to take into account him going, to the Falcons and Hooper leaving and, 100 plus targets opening up. So
I don't want to, there's no reason to really get into in-depth, like breaking down this slate. I mean, just off the top, it looks like, Falcons Seahawks is going to be a game to target. The Packers Minnesota game, Saints Bucks will probably be one of the highest totals on the week, but we'll get into all of that a little bit closer to the start of the season as we do a full breakdown for this slate. I mean, is there really, I don't really have anything else that I need to talk about as far as this goes. The only thing I'll say is that I kind of wish they just wouldn't do this, like release it this early, especially when players are still opting out. Like, it's just going to drive so much ownership to the obvious plays. I get it. They want to start driving hype up ahead of time, but I just wish that they would wait, like do it 2 weeks ahead of time, but not before players have even started putting on pads and while players are still opting out. Like, it just seems it's too early.
For sure. It's definitely way too early. And with the season, like, actually having like a later start, the season doesn't start until September 10th. So, it's over a month, before games actually get played, even if there's even an NFL season this year. So it's way too early. Hopefully DraftKings doesn't do the same, but we'll see.